If you evolve the hacker mindset in yourself, it doesn't matter what you try to hack.
I never heard of another company that is assigning like 2 teams to 1 security review.
Giving people some unusual situations that they most likely would think they never had been in, like giving them some piece of code that they most likely never see such kind of stuff.
But we found so many security vulnerabilities that we looked at it and we were like, if we would do the paper vulnerability model, we would make more money rather than the fixed fee.
It's just 200 people actually doing almost the same thing.
Mentorship or internship program.
Yeah, I strongly believe that you should scale through products rather than services. That's 100%.
Hello guys, it's JohnnyTime and welcome to another amazing Web3 security interview. Today we have the pleasure sitting with Vahe, the CTO co-founder of Hexens, one of the most known Web3 security firms in the industry. So you probably heard about the company and about him as the founder. So today we'll explore the incredible journey of Vahe, how he got into Web3 security, how he started Hexens as a company, and we'll share some amazing tips for you to navigate as a newbie, as a beginner in the Web3 security space directly from the CTO and co-founder of one of the most successful Web3 security firms. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and without further ado, let's get started. So how are you, Vahe? Glad to have you here on the channel.
Thank you. All good. And thank you for hosting me. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So before we deep dive into Hexens and what the company does and sharing tips for Web3 security researchers that are just getting started, let's hear a bit about your background. So what kind of background do you have? Technical background, cybersecurity background, developer background, and how you shifted into Web3 and Web3 security?
Yeah, so I started, like, mainly my background is, let's say, Web2 cybersecurity. I've been in cybersecurity like over a decade already, something like that. First, I was doing like penetration testings, code reviews there, red teamings, that kind of stuff, like mainly offensive ethical security. And then I transitioned to blockchain security.
So how did you shift actually from traditional red teaming, penetration testing to blockchain security?
So it was like, I think, kind of interesting story. So I was doing Web2 security, I was loving it, but like in some sense I was always following, you know, what's going on with blockchain and crypto, especially like after the DAO hack. Like people in security were talking about blockchain a lot, in sense that there are a lot of like impact there. Not too many people were understanding like how it works, what the smart contracts are and whatever. So there's actually a different architecture really after you shift from Web2. So I was following it, but never tried to, you know, do it professionally. And then I went to serve in army. So we have mandatory army serving. So I went there, and it was like kind of like a resetting something for me. I came back and I thought like, you know, blockchain looks like it's really gonna be the technology of the future, and I just decided that I'll take my time and start learning it like from the scratch, like how the blockchain works, all the high and low level stuff there, and only after that I started actually learning the security aspects of it. So yeah, something like that.
That's very interesting shift. Do you remember what kind of resources you utilized to learn blockchain security back then? Because I believe it was around 2019 where there weren't that many resources. So what kind of resources did you use?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, like, it was not too many. The information was really very scattered throughout the internet. The only thing that I can say that really started to explain what kind of higher level, at least on kind of like high level, what kind of attacks you can get, was the Ethernaut, the war game from OZ.
From OpenZeppelin.
Yeah, that was the only resource that I would say that was kind of structured, and it's the best place if you know zero stuff about blockchains like smart contract security. That's a very good, it will give you a very good hinge. So with the rest stuff, like how the nodes work, how the consensus mechanism really works, and whatever, all the gossip protocols and etc., I just collected it through different resources. It wasn't easy. It wasn't that easy, but yeah, back in the day, there was no other way to do. I couldn't find really any good. There were no courses that will give you the enough, depth of the knowledge. There were some, but like it was too high level.
Interesting, very interesting. So how from like learning blockchain security, you shifted towards like starting your own auditing firm company, blockchain security company, Hexens. So tell us a bit the story about how Hexens started.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So when I first started the cybersecurity, I was doing a lot of. By the way, that's also part of the background that I should actually mention is that I play CTFs a lot. I used to play it a lot. Now I don't have that much spare time, but yeah, that was at some moment in my career I was spending really a lot of time playing CTFs, and that's actually a very good way to. It's not the only way, but it is a very decent way to learn um, cybersecurity as well. So I was working as a penetration tester and also doing CTFs and all that stuff. At some point, me and my partner Sipan, we decided to try. Like there were no security companies, security providers locally in Armenia, and we decided to try starting our own service company uh, to provide like pen test and all the classic cybersecurity stuff. So that at the point when we decided to transit like to blockchain and start doing blockchain security, we already had this, let's say, we already were running a small, it was actually quite a small company doing Web 2. But yeah, so it was not a question that, before transiting, I was not trying to be entrepreneur or whatever. So we already were running it. So the only decision was to transit the focus. Like we're not really focusing on Web 2. We're focusing on Web 3 from now. And we started from scratch, literally, because nobody, like no one of us really knew like decently, let's say, how everything works, how you should, how to audit smart contracts, how to audit blockchain, and other stuff like blockchain related. So we decided to, just invent some new name, create some new website, and just start from the scratch, from zero, collecting the trust that we. As we switch the actually industries, like the trust that we had gained through our previous company doing Web 2 was not really that useful for Hexens, because nobody knows, like in Web 2 almost nobody knew the Web 3 projects and vice versa, right? Unless it's I don't know, like super big retail companies or whatever. Yeah, so it didn't really help. So we were just gaining trust from zero. That it was like the second doing the same thing for the second time. But yeah, it was fun and it worked out very well. Yeah.
It's a very interesting story. And do you remember like your first few clients? Like how was it? How you were able to onboard them and make them trust you as a company? And how did the first audit or smart contract security reviews, how they went?
Yeah, so basically, we started doing the audits like almost for free. Like it was super cheap. We were just trying to find companies that had problem with finding auditing companies, because a lot of people wanted to go to some rubber stamp, certificates, and mainly that kind of companies had some lines, and we were we decided to just not really, let's say, generate some, any type of revenue, let's say, just doing for self cost. and did a couple of audits for very low rates. And so doing that, we had the ability to get some interesting clients and to show them the quality. After we started gaining the portfolio, let's say, a couple of very decent audit reports after, we just started charging the market average or whatever it was at the time. So yeah, basically, I don't think there's, maybe there is some other ways that you can get into the market, but I think it's pretty much,
Yeah, it's a very smart move, and many people say that, including myself and my partner at Ginger Security. The first few audits we did almost for free, and
yeah,
it's a very good way to get started and get your portfolio and getting this trust from the clients, because once they're happy, they recommend you to new clients,
yeah,
and all the time we get new leads for new audits if it's EVM or Cairo smart contracts,
yeah,
which is cool. So this is an awesome alpha tip, I think, for everyone who is struggling to create his own brand, either if it's like Web3 security company or solo auditor brand. It's okay to give value for free in the beginning, as far as it's not too much and it actually
yeah,
affects your brand and helps you build this portfolio and name for yourself. That's what I would say. Don't work too much for free, in my opinion, but in the
yeah.
beginning, it's fine. It's totally fine.
Exactly, exactly. So it's really easy to, stay in the same mindset that you need to do everything for free. But yeah, if you're
Yeah,
running a
but
business, you will not survive.
exactly. And also your time is valuable, right? Because every minute that you
Yeah,
lose, you're not going to get back. So it's even more valuable than money, but at least, get something
yeah,
to pay your bills. So
yeah,
yeah,
totally
I
agree.
can definitely agree with that. And so I'm also wondering, in the beginning, if it was your first audit and you're coming with traditional cyber security background, even though you did CTFs and you learned, did you seek some help from like external companies or colleagues in the first audits, maybe to take a look at your work on your first reports, make sure you didn't miss anything or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. At the very first times, sometimes we were collaborating in the first audits with a friendly company as well, which was also in their starting phase to recheck the work that we have done. So basically, when I'm so we even from the very low rate that we charged, we almost spent everything this just on rechecking, because the security of the client was like super important for us. Like we were, when we started, we were confident that we can give the quality, but it's we decided not to be greedy and just recheck it. And I think that's a good way to start as well, because when you think let's say you think the vulnerability, you think the mindset and etc. Still, you need the experience. So it's impossible to experience will always add something on it, right? If you haven't done yourself really a decent audit before that, then it's a bit of different quality. That luckily, like from day zero to up till now, like we had zero incidents, absolutely zero incidents with our customers.
That's great results. So yeah, it's also something that we did in the beginning, because in our first audits we paid actually someone and we lost
Yeah,
money because of that. We paid someone that is more experienced to take a look at the code base, take a look at the
yeah,
review, see if we missed something, just really to bring this 100% client satisfaction. And this is also something that
exactly.
I talked with Pashov in this channel, which is very, very important in my opinion. Anytime you work with clients, doesn't matter if you're a company or a freelance entrepreneur. And
Hmm.
it's pretty incredible for that, from just like a small agency of two partners, you really scaled up to Hexens, a big brand and big name in the industry, and you work with some incredible like big clients and companies such as Polygon, 1inch, Lido, and many, many more companies. So can you tell us a bit more like how this process worked, from like just two guys who starting a new business to working with one of those biggest names in the industry? And so how were you able to get this name to yourself that you're able to
Yeah.
actually get to work with these companies?
So I think this is because This is because I had the best team in the world. Actually, that's the only reason, because I took the same people that I worked with, the great cybersecurity minds that we had, that people were doing Web 2, and like motivated them to transit to Web 3 as well. And I started working with the people I've worked always with, and I know the experience that they have, this the from the technical side, the knowledge like is super deep. But the only thing that they were liking at the first time, just like as us, is the experience with
Blockchain.
blockchain. Yeah, that's it. So I only needed some time for them to learn. I gave them the ability to learn the blockchain, how this is going, and then we just started rocking there. But like the easiest way, just answering your question, like the easiest way to get to that kind of big names is actually, just report something. So we're from just having clients to actually transiting, working with the biggest clients. You At that point of time, you also do a lot of stuff for free, in a sense that you just spend your spare time trying to find some bugs in the open scopes and just report it, yeah, to them. And eventually they like it, and they wanted to try, undergoing a security audit or security review with your company. And then you just you just show the same quality, or doing it even better and better every time, and now you're partners. So we don't even like call our clients. We're just they're like partners for us in that sense.
Cool. So you always put this extra mile to make sure that you find this
Yeah,
critical high severity, so to make name for yourself and make the client also satisfied. So we will recommend you, and from them you're growing. From
yeah,
then you're growing to get the bigger and bigger names, and eventually
yeah,
they're happy and you are happy because you have
yeah,
collaborations with the biggest names. This is very interesting. You also mentioned that most of Hexens is actually ex Web 2 cybersecurity
yeah.
professionals, which is
Like the
interesting.
the core team.
The core thing. So you would say that people that comes from traditional cybersecurity has some kind of advantage over people that never came from dev background or just not from the space at all.
I will say only statistically, because like on the individual level there can be so much different stories. There can be a lot of prodigies, a lot of very interested, talented people that never did, let's say, Web 2 cybersecurity, but they only started with Web 3 and they're, I don't know, the best of the best or whatever. But statistically, Web 2 cybersecurity experience is super important in my opinion. The thing is, like, it's not that it's Web 2. The important part is that it is any kind of cybersecurity experience, because Web 3 actually it's very young. It's You cannot be, let's say, 10 years, you cannot have 10 years experience doing smart contract audits. There's literally no person doing that, right? But you can be like 10-year experienced in Web2 cybersecurity, because it's much older industry. It is much more mature than blockchain. There are a lot of processes, and the most important is the mindset. That if you evolve the hacker mindset in yourself, it doesn't matter what you try to hack. In a year, we might be facing Web 4. People that have the right mindset, they can just take their time, a couple of months, up to 1 year, I don't know, and just transit to doing Web 4. Because the main concepts are, the how your brain actually works when you're looking at the code or whatever. Like, that's the most important part of being like a good auditor. So one of the ways of having this is coming from Web 2 cybersecurity. There might be a lot of other ways as well. I'm not saying like it's the only way. If you didn't come to from Web 2, you're not a decent expert. No, 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 it's not true. I'm just saying that statistically, it will help you 100%.
Yeah, so it definitely helps in my opinion, and most of the Web3 security professionals have some cybersecurity background. but it's not a must. I know some great minds and talents in the field that came from all kinds of backgrounds, people
Yeah,
that
sure.
conquer the Code4Rena leaderboard or just working in cybersecurity companies, Web3 security companies. But yeah, it definitely helps. And I think what helps is like the creativity and kind of like the attacker mindset that you get from
Yes.
traditional penetration testing or Web2 security. Because when you apply this mindset in when you like looking at smart contracts and state transitions and protocols, it helps a lot to think out of the box and find those vulnerabilities. But it's something that can be acquired without going through all the vulnerability classes of Web2 security, of like all the knowledge of creating Trojan horses or SIEM and SOC and whatever. So it's not a must, but it's just a plus. And as far as I see it, as far as I
Yep.
feel,
Totally agree. Yeah, on that. I
yeah,
also know I know a lot of people who came from just the development background and they're doing great. So, I'm saying like on the individual level, you can never tell. Like everyone can become the best expert in the field. Doesn't matter what background you have, but we only can talk some statistics and whatever. Yeah, but
definitely, yeah.
definitely not generalizing. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us a bit about what kind of clients Hexens work with, what kind of projects or maybe technologies you are specialized in? Because even in Web3 security, we have different specialities. We have
Hmm.
cross-chain protocols, we have DeFi protocols, NFTs, AMMs, lending protocols, whatever, perpetuals. Zero knowledge now is like getting more and more into the attention of the people. So what are your like what is your bread and butter? What are your specialties as a company?
So I would say that we're pivoting quite a lot because we're trying to see the trends of like what's going on the market, what are like what are super important projects that are being developed and will be developed most likely in the near future and try to focus on that. Uh, like let's say last year we did a lot of infrastructure like that. We love doing infrastructure, all the cross-chain stuff, bridges, other types of infrastructure projects like decentralized Oracle systems. So a lot of great stuff. We were really in love doing that. This year we really like focus on ZK and liquid staking, restaking, all that kind of stuff. The last year it was not really that much of a fuzz around it, like, but this year and I think the next year, maybe some other years as well, we'll be seeing a lot of liquid staking and like different kind of something staking protocols, a lot of ZK. So yeah, like especially ZK, we are like super bullish on ZK technology. So we really focus on ZK as well. So yeah, it's like that. But we can never tell like what we will be focusing on like let's say 2 years ahead. Because maybe from 2 years there'll be something new, some new technology, and we will be pivoting and doing that. So yeah, let's see.
Very interesting. So yeah, zero knowledge and liquid stacking are definitely trends that are worth putting an eye
Yep.
on, and we see it actually now with the Code4Rena huge contest of zkSync,
Yeah.
$1.2 million, and you guys audited also the Polygon ZK EVM. Can you tell
Yeah.
us a bit, maybe some interesting stories about this audit of like I don't know how it went, how was it?
Mhm. Yeah. So I would say that. The Polygon ZKVM was maybe so far, or at least one of my favorite audits that we had. It was super complex. The code base was huge. It was super interesting. The team had really some interesting architectural decisions that they made, creating the ZKVM. So yeah, it was first. I think it was first open source zkVM, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So we we gained a lot of knowledge during that audit. We did some ZK auditing before that, but like none of it had the same, let's say, like the same complexity as the ZK VM had. I think not there basically wasn't anything developed before that complex. Now we have a lot of other great ZK VMs. We have ZK VMs. We have a lot of very interesting and complex projects. But back in the day, like last year, there wasn't too much. Some people were also developing other ZK rollups, but like we were not auditing it, so I cannot tell you anything about it. Yeah, like I would say that when you really learn a lot and you feel a lot of fun and you find some really cool subtle critical bugs or whatever, that's the best experience you can have as a security engineer, actually, because you generate a ton of value for the partner that you're auditing, and you also gain a lot of knowledge and just having fun during that. Like it sounds ideal, I would say. Yeah, I think that's how I would describe like an ideal security review for an engineer.
That's very interesting. So, how big is Hexens in total, and how
Yeah.
many people participated in the Polygon ZK VM? Was it like all the company? Was it like just a specific
No, no.
team?
So we're around 50 people, 50, but not everyone is security engineer. Our security team is, I believe, around 16 or 17 people, something like that. We have developers, as Hexens is not only service providing company. We also develop security products, which we will be one of them we will be launching quite soon. But yeah, so we have development, we have business staff, marketing, a lot of other people. In terms of security, we have like under 20 people, something like that. It's not too big because unfortunately the market is not that big as well. We don't really have that much of decent security engineers, so that every like good company can have a lot of seniors, leads, or whatever's. But yeah, so in terms of like how many people were attending the ZK, were joining the ZK VM review, I think it was. I may not say the exact number, but it should be around 6 people, something like that. Yeah, so we know that some there are some players in the market who actually try to scale on the services, especially on audits, and they assign very few people for audit. It may be even just one person. Sometimes it's two-person. We never do that. Like we have kind of, I wouldn't say unique, but we have a methodology of doing security reviews inside Hexens where it's quite, let's say, polymorphic. Uh, we have at least two teams like rechecking each other and doing the review, the security review, because you always have. It doesn't matter like how good your security engineers are, there is always some human factor. Someone might miss something. He just was, I don't know, he was brainstorming only in one direction and he forgot about the second attack, like other attack vectors or whatever. So we're always rechecking it with other teams inside Hexens, uh, which eventually gets you around like from 8 to 10 people almost always during the audits. But like we don't charge the double rate, we charge the same rate. The only thing is that like we're not trying really to capitalize on service revenue. We don't see that it's something that a security company should do, to be honest, because it's not scalable. If you try to scale it, you lose quality. That's just an axiom. That's you cannot do anything with that. You just don't scale. That's why you just don't scale the services. You scale using the products, which are really like scalable, which can bring an impact throughout all the industry, right? Like, let's say we're doing very good security reviews, but we cannot do it for every blockchain company in the world, right? So we're limited to something like dozens throughout the year. Like you will not actually make, let's say, blockchain as a whole industry much more secure just doing the security reviews. So you need something more scalable than just reviews. You need to everyone needs to undergo review. That's 100%. But I think what I mean is that like you as a company cannot scale it. There just need to be a lot of companies doing a lot of security reviews and also like scalable products that will cover the industry on the scale. And like in conjunction, all these different product services and pipeline security pipeline will eventually cover the industry, and will, hopefully we'll see a day where we don't see like big hacks almost every month or whatever we have now. Like it's crazy amount of money being stolen in Web3, right? Like in Web2, you never hear about like 300 million hacks. Like it's crazy. It's just crazy amounts. Like there might be something like in that ranges, but it's not every year. It's not like every half a year or whatever. We have like, crazy amounts.
Definitely. And it's actually a very unique approach because I never heard of another company that is assigning like two teams to one security review. And I guess it's also come on top of really the revenue because you have to pay to the
Yeah.
security researchers to do this job. And we know from other companies such as Spearbit and Trust Security that every security researcher is getting paid per audit day, or even in Sherlock the lead Watson. So how does it really work in terms of profitability? Because Hexen is a company that needs to generate revenue. So when you're assigning, you have the same cost for the audit, but you need to pay to more security researchers. How do you stay profitable?
Yeah. So I would say that you really need to we need to understand like who are we comparing with in terms of let's say price, because we're not cheap. We're, I think, in the quite expensive segment, but also we're not the most expensive. That 100%. And in terms of Hexens, our security engineers are being paid monthly. They're not being paid for weeks they work, for days they work. They're being paid monthly. At the same time, they have, we know a lot of companies that, limit their security engineers on freelancing stuff like doing contests, doing bug bounties, or whatever. I've interviewed a lot of people who were complaining about that. Like in Hexens, you have absolutely no trouble. Like if as long as you do your job,
As long
you
as you
can do
deliver.
whatever you want to. Yeah, as yeah, just do what you gotta do, and like the rest you can do. I'll be happy if you're the top one in Code4Rena, Sherlock, whatever. If you're top one in bug bounty platforms, Immunify, um, I'll be happy. If I can help you with something, I will help you with that. To achieve that goals. So yeah, I think a lot of our engineers, so they have, let's say, a hybrid model of how they generate their own revenues. But they have a fixed salary, whatever they do, they have the above average salary getting in Hexens, and they have the freedom of earning a lot of money in bug bounties or contests or whatever they want to. Yeah.
So how does it work for security researchers in Hex? And if you don't mind sharing, so there is like the salary and there are also bonuses, or only just
Yeah,
fixed
we
rate?
have, sure, sure, sure. We have bonuses as well. Yeah. Yeah, it
And
depends. So, I won't be disclosing the system that we assign bonuses on, based on, but yeah, we have bonuses as well. So it's
okay,
mainly
and how
like
do you actually?
annual compensation, yeah, plus bonuses, plus a lot of other perks that we have just in Hexens that don't only concern the security engineers, but like all the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. And how do you actually price a work for a client or a partner? Is it like because now there is a debate, not kind of debate, but people talk about it like is it should be like per audit days, per paper vulnerability model? What kind of model do you use? And if you can give us a bit about a glimpse around the average cost of an audit.
Yeah, so I would say that we charge based on weeks. So we came to this model trying to, go to compromise with what client wants and what's comfortable for us. And the week rate works best so far. I believe like no one complained in a way that they don't like, getting a quote based on weeks or whatever. So we do estimate it on weekly basis.
Makes sense.
So what about if we talk about the paper vulnerability, I'm 100% I don't think that's good, let's say, for companies. I think that might be working for, let's say, solo auditors or free to invent a lot of other, methodologies how they want to work. It's much more it's much bigger market in terms of like competition because they're just one solo people and we're competing with companies. But I don't think that paying based on vulnerability amount that you find, even given that like we we're having like really really crazy good statistics on how much vulnerabilities we find. If you just take a look on the audit reports, especially the ones where there are a lot of other auditors involved as well, like you can see that there are in a lot of times there are much better numbers in terms of findings and the severity of findings. I don't believe that it's a good way to do it because you can. The fact that you wrote, let's say, the fact that you wrote a good code and there was no critical doesn't matter. Like it should not limit the auditor to still, try to find everything he can find. If he doesn't find it, he still like spent a lot of time trying to go super deep, understand how everything is working, and eventually turned out that you didn't have any criticals or other findings. That's good, yeah. But the auditor gives you some kind of confidence in that, right? It's never 100% confidence. It's never a guarantee. Here we're working only with risk mitigation. It's not an insurance business to guarantee something. But when you're a security engineer, when you dig very deep into the project, when you start understanding like how literally every bit of the code works, and you're trying your best inventing different attack vectors, and you come up with nothing because everything is like, let's say, written correctly. That doesn't mean that you did wrong. That doesn't mean that you're not good. Like you were not that, let's say, focused on the audit, or you spent less time. To be honest, when you don't find criticals for a very long time, you start overworking a lot. So as a security engineer, this is something that security engineers like they that have some perfectionist, I don't know, characters in them start doing when you don't find impactful vulnerabilities. You overwork a lot. You might be end up working all the Saturdays, all the Sundays, like 12 hours per day instead of your 6 to 8 or yeah, whatever. So like in that sense, you even spend much more energy and time. And if you get paid less, that doesn't make any sense. In that sense, I wouldn't even do that as a solo. Like if I was a solo auditor, I wouldn't do that. But yeah, like as everyone is free on like, doing however they want to. Like, no, I
Yeah.
don't see any problems.
Yeah, so there are pros and cons for every model, in my opinion. We did both pay-per vulnerability and also some fixed pay. And yeah, definitely when you have this pay-per vulnerability model, you're more incentivized because it's like kind of like a contest or a bug bounty. and it feels like more fun. Also, for me, like the process of doing paper vulnerability, it's a bit more exciting as a researcher. But even when we started shifting from paper vulnerability to fixed pay because sometimes we also audit contracts that already were audited by other firms. And in that case, it wouldn't be fair to do the paper vulnerability model because you're the second after security professionals look at it. We
Yep.
still, and it's very interesting because we were able to, we did a security review after another company made a security review. I won't put names or something, but we found so many security vulnerabilities that we looked at it and we were like, if we would do the paper vulnerability model, we would make more money rather than the fixed pay, which was interesting. But yeah, we are like kind of like jumping between if the client didn't went through a security review before, we usually do paper vulnerability. If they did, we do the fixed pay. So for us, it's also a bit dynamic because there are pros and cons to every model.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially, by the way, when you were telling about your example, I just thought that basically when you mainly work with like newer teams, let's say younger teams that are just at their first project or whatever, they just raised money. The code quality will be poor. Most likely, it will be a bit more poor than the companies that have been developing and they have. I've been auditing their codes for a very long time, so you have a lot of ability to find tons of bugs or whatever. But if you work with the big names and these big names have very, let's say, decent teams doing the development. The team, it's not the first time that the team is undergoing the audit. Their code is undergoing an audit security review. They know a lot of stuff themselves as well. There is less chances of finding criticals.
Yeah,
But
makes
you,
sense.
but you still need to do a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Definitely makes sense. So you started as you started as a founder and you did the audits yourself, but now you're in a position of a CTO. So are you
Yes.
actually doing hands-on audits? Like, can you describe us a bit like
Yeah.
how does your day look like as the CTO of the company? Are you more like managing teams? Are you hiring people? Are you talking with clients? Are you actually doing security reviews yourself and reading Solidity code? How does your day look like?
Yeah.
Are you going to conference? I know you
Yeah.
go to a lot of conference and you travel a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you all about that. Yeah. So, yeah, as you said, I'm the CTO. Me and my friend founded Hexens, Sipan. Uh, he is the CEO. He does like mainly a lot of business stuff. I'm trying to do some business stuff and technical. He's mainly doing business stuff and some technical. So it's like an Indian situation or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, my mainly what in terms of like joining the audits, I don't really join the audits that much. I do lead and do audits for let's say quite unique situations where we really have very complex code that we need to review. Mainly in that situations, that let's say we don't have a better lead to lead the team. I'm leading that audits because we have a lot of leads and seniors who can lead stuff much better than me, but in some other, in some other types of projects, and I'm doing it better, maybe like in some other types of projects. But basically, it's I'm mainly out of the process of auditing as a whole. Uh, but it's always like, let's say, 50% of the year or even more, I maybe 60 or 70% of the year I'm in some audit because it's mainly a very long one. When I lead, it's mainly a very long audit of quite a big code base. Yeah.
Okay, makes
and
sense.
yeah, Yeah, the rest I'm working on the product, on the security product we're developing, and a lot of the other managerial and business stuff as well. I travel a lot, as you say, like or me and Sipan, we both travel a lot. We're trying to attend the bigger conferences that are being held throughout the worldwide. Always traveling from one continent to another, which is it sounds fun. It is fun, but it is also exhausting quite.
Can
And
imagine.
yeah, yeah.
So you're kind of like a digital nomad of conferences going from continent to continent.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
But
you're
I'm
also,
happy with that.
why not? It's just, yeah, but sometimes you need to rest. So I hope you get
Yeah,
rest as well,
exactly.
or have like a permanent place where you can just relax. Now, I wanted to ask, you're also doing recruiting. So I saw that you on the website, you have like 3 open positions. So I assume that if it's like something technical, you will be the one that is like interviewing or like, I don't
Yeah,
know, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So for the security engineers, that definitely I'm doing the final interview. Yeah.
so can you walk me through a bit like the how do you hire new talent? How do you find security engineers, developers, security researchers, etc.? And what are you looking for actually?
Yeah, so it's not an easy question because it's very hard to find good security engineers in Web3 because it's not too much of them, quite few people on the market. But we have actually like a questionnaire, technical questionnaire, which helps a lot in the sense that you can just filter a lot of people just only based on the questionnaire. It's mainly questions with the open answers, not like multi-choice or whatever. You just need to. It's a code snippet with a contract, or sometimes it's not contract. It might be some Oracle or like other stuff. Code snippet, and you just need to write your thoughts, like what you think is vulnerable, what you think is maybe not vulnerable, but it's kind of not best practice, whatever. Just your thoughts, because what I'd be looking at is not only, let's say, it's not only that you answer them correctly, but if you give the ability to write open answers, you can see how the person is thinking. And even if he end up being incorrect on his statement, if you see the flow of like how he thinks about the problem, what he tries to find, like how deep he tries to go, you can really spot some talented people. I think that you just you just need to maybe work have quite experience working with people with security. It will help you to find talented people when it's not too obvious when they're talented, because there are some obvious situations, right? So you can just take a look at some contest or bug bounty platform tops, and like they should be good, right? That they're in tops. Like it's not hard to understand that people are doing good. It's much harder when it's a person that you don't know. It's a person who maybe doesn't do bug bounty to be famous, let's say, and that you you can know him. And because basically the people that are famous for being in tops or whatever, I think that pretty much any company wants to hire them. It's not too easy to fight for that, let's say, candidate as well.
That's
And yeah,
very interesting and true, because the top leaderboard or the ones who either in Unify, Code4Rena Shell, or CodeHawks, yeah, they are probably very wanted by all the companies. So this is the best way as a security researcher to make a name out of yourself. But
yes,
for you as a company, it's also a challenge because you compete other companies for this talent pool. So you're trying to find those talents in other places.
yeah,
So, and there are other ways to make name out of yourself. So you don't have to do Audit Contest all full time. If you don't like that, there are other ways. Hopefully, we will increase this talent pool. That's what I'm working on. And we have more than 800 students that are going through the smart contract hacking course and doing the final assessment. Now, I cannot do open
Very good.
questions. I cannot do open questions in the final assessment because of scalability issues. I cannot go one by one submission and check, but we are doing the best to really make a really nice and interesting assessment. And maybe we'll even collaborate about it somehow in the future regarding forwarding talent or the best students towards Hexens. And, they're also going to get certificate based on their performance. So it will be very interesting.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of very smart, because I know I speak with them every day. There are a lot of smart people, very sharp, very talented in our community. It will be very interesting. So I'm excited about the fact that, because I know the struggle. I know the struggle of finding like good, strong people. And I know that after they go through the course curriculum, and if they're doing well, they'll already have a good starting point, which is awesome. So what are you, so you're looking for like the way they think, so not only like the results, but the way they think. What kind of like skills and values what do you value the most? Also on the human aspect, right? So when you interview someone, when you find someone to your company, so you want to see that they think out of the box, they think creatively, they're able to also write their thoughts in an organized way. It will also help them later on to participate in security reviews and create the reports, obviously. What other values and skills are you looking for?
Yeah, I would say that, of course, like for any security engineer, like thinking out of the box is just, it's a must-have. So we're not, let's not talk about the obvious one. I would say that the ability to find the information is very important. Because,
Do your
like,
own
let's
research.
say,
Don't be
yeah,
like
yeah, like,
don't be like dependent on your team all the time. No, to
yes.
go out
Yeah.
and do your job.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And like we like to like during the questionnaire or during the technical interview, we really like giving people some unusual situations that they most likely would think they never had been in, like giving them some piece of code that they most likely never see such kind of stuff. Maybe it can be some new language for them. It
Like
can be
half,
maybe
for
some new.
instance, or Cairo or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
Let's say, yeah, yeah. But
Interesting.
like very, very, yeah, not too complex bug. Let's say, and we see how person can actually take his time and
How to
find a
learn new
solution
stuff.
for. Yeah, 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 and like do it quick, like never to be scared. Like the one of the biggest things that I would say that a senior or let's say lead security engineer is different from people who are like mid or junior is that they are not scared of these situations.
He will not
Lead or
raise his
senior
hands
should,
up and say, "I'm
yeah,
sorry, I don't know Cairo or I don't
yeah,
know half."
yeah,
He was like, "Wait, I didn't see it before, but this looks like
yeah,
something that I know. Oh, and this looks a bit similar to Solidity. Or okay, let's do it. Can I do a
yeah,
Google search or something?" So
yeah,
that would be like a different, I guess. It's very interesting
yeah,
approach.
yeah. It's like you're throwing them out of their comfort zone and see what they're doing.
Pretty smart. And let's say they pass through the interview process and now they're onboarding the company.
Mhm.
So how will the day look like? They're joining already existing audits, security reviews. Are they going through some kind of mentorship or internship program? How does it look like?
Yeah. So new hire, even if we're hiring this person for lead position or senior position, will never lead an audit for the first time. Yeah, that's 100%. And but whoever we hire, let's say if it's an intern or junior, day one it's battle testing. Like you're with the team doing a real audit. So even if you don't understand much from it, yeah, sure. Like you have a lot of time. You don't need to do it like full time. You have your time to go learn. I don't know, do some war games, or whatever, but from day one doing a real audit. That's 100%. And we have different, let's say, processes implemented inside Hexens for people to share their knowledge, to always be communicative with each other, and to work as a team. That's one of the biggest, let's say, values that we want to bring inside the security engineers, is that they need to work as a team. Because the most important thing is to find the bugs, right, in the code. It doesn't matter whether it's you who found the bug, it's I don't know, your friend or your colleague who found the bug. In that sense, it doesn't matter. Like, you need to find the bug, so you need to collaborate. You need to work as a team. I know some companies they practice something called like blind auditing, when they have, let's say, three people is assigned to an audit. All three of them are blindly auditing, and then just at the last day they open up their findings, and the employee can take a look, like who's doing better, who's doing a bit worse, or whatever. I don't believe that makes sense, to be honest. I don't like. I still will know like who has some, let's say, a little bit more talent, who is maybe a bit more lazy or not lazy. I don't need to do a blind audit for that. It's just because I'm with my team as well, always communicating with people. I can see like
Who is contributing and who is less
this one
contributing?
person, yeah, this one person is a bit more lacking knowledge in this kind of stuff. Another one is a bit more lacking. One is strong in this kind of stuff, and whatever. I don't need to do blind auditing for that, and especially I will never, sacrifice the audit quality just for, I don't know, managing my team. My team is working as a team, and it has no managerial issues or whatever for me to manage it, and we're delivering the best quality because they collaborate. People collaborate with each other, rather than thinking that what should I
Getting
do,
credit, or
to
like
be,
how to get
yeah, you're
credit.
getting credits, yeah, or whatever.
Yeah, that's a very good approach, and I know that Trust posted about the audit that he did with Obront about the optimism. So they had like a Discord server
Hmm.
for only the two of them, and they created a new channel for every vulnerability or an edge or some kind of something that they suspect, and then they in this channel like they discuss this vulnerability. Would you mind sharing like how do the team work if it's like remotely? I guess like they need to somehow collaborate. So are you guys using Slack, Discord? What kind of methodology how does an audit look like?
Yeah, so we have we mainly use Slack in that sense. We also are eager to relocate people who ever want to work offline. We have quite a big office where some part of the team is working offline, but still, like, some security engineers, and not only security engineers, they work offline. Online, remotely. For them, we have like special, um, let's say, we're doing like scheduled calls with all the team on for different topics, so that everyone can, share knowledge during that. So that no one, even the people who are working remotely, they don't feel themselves as not being part of the team. Everyone is, you know, very communicative and trying to help each other. So that's pretty much how we think it should be done. But like, in some sense, I always prefer, especially like in cybersecurity, I always prefer that the teamwork should be offline. I don't know, maybe I'm just, old fashioned in that way. I'm used to, I personally, I'm used to working in a way like I would prefer working with my team offline, brainstorming, just face to face. It helps a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's not the mandatory thing or whatever.
Yeah, especially in Web3, the flexibility is pretty big,
Yeah,
and I guess also in Hexens it's quite
yeah.
big. That's very interesting. Now, recently there was a debate on Twitter about traditional security reviews compared to audit contests. So what's your take on that? Like what is better? Maybe not this or not that. Like what's the pros and cons?
I think so. To start, there's thinking in that terms as in terms of black and white is wrong. There is I wouldn't say that audit is like security review is always better than contest, and I wouldn't say that contest is always better than security review for a number of reasons. Mainly, I would say that there are some projects that are well suited. Some not even like, let's say, projects. I would even say code bases that are more suited for contest. Like if you go with the contest, you might end up, it's not guaranteed. You might end up getting better result if you went with a security review. And for some projects, I think that doing contest is like you should prefer do a security audit over a contest, but to be honest, the best thing to do is to have the budget to do everything
Both.
that you can do.
Yeah,
That's the
but
the
for
best
which
thing.
project would it be better to do audit contests, and for which type of project it would be better to do a
Yeah.
traditional security
So
review?
yeah, so here is the thing. Whenever we see like a lot of contest platforms or whatever, a lot of people saying that you know, whenever you go with a contest, hundreds of people take a look at your code, which is true. Which is true. Like hundreds of people will be taking a look at the code. That's why contests actually yield some interesting result in some cases. But the thing is that contests mainly they almost always, I would say, they last for very small amount of time in contrast with security review. It's mainly like 1 week, sometimes 2 weeks, like quite a big, let's say, the 1.1 million contest of zkSync. If
Three
I'm not
weeks.
mistaken, it will
It's
be
three
3 weeks.
weeks.
Like
22 days.
that's no way like zkSync coming to a security company with a security review and getting a code for 3 weeks. It's almost impossible. The thing is that to find the bugs, you need a code coverage, right? You need to understand how much of your code has been covered, how deep. You have like the vertical part, you have the horizontal part, but the thing is that you do have 200 people, but these 200 people are
You can
not
be on the
collaborating.
same code contract, even though your
Yeah,
project has like 50 smart
yeah,
contracts, only 10 might be
yeah.
audited.
Yeah. Like let's say you that's these 200. Let's say the code base is not distributed throughout 200 people. This is an incorrect thing to think. It's just 200 people actually doing almost the same thing. If you give people time of 1 week, they will if and the code base, and eventually we're coming to an answer of which projects I think are good to go with contest, which are not. If the code base is big, let's say bigger in average
Don't go for a
2000
concept
source line of
contest.
code, yeah, better not to go with the contest in terms of let's say price, and in terms of price quality ratio, they better not go with it, because a
So
good
you think
decent
that
security
zkSync are
engineer.
doing a mistake by going to a
No,
contest because it's a huge code
I
base?
don't think so. I don't know about the code base size. I don't think that they're doing a mistake for two reasons, because I believe they still have and will do a security review. I don't think that they're just doing contest and that's
Yeah,
it.
they
And
will do both.
secondly, yeah, see, like if you have money to do both, then the correct answer is always do everything. Just allocate a budget.
They are very budgeted, zkSync,
Yeah,
I believe.
allocate a budget and do everything. That's the best thing to do, 100%. Especially in Web3, like it's crazy if you don't allocate a decent budget for your security, right? Yeah, so I don't think that they're doing wrong, because I think that they will undergo a security review as well, and And also they made a lot of hype over their contest because I believe no one has put like more than 1 mil, right? I don't know what was the record before the zkSync, but I believe this is a record payout pool, right?
Yeah, I think it's the
1.1
biggest
million.
one.
Yeah, everyone now talking about everyone is googling right now how to audit zk circuits.
Yeah,
So they
secret.
like everyone talking about it. So I think it did as the it will benefit the zk sync as well because more people will take a look at the code, and of course that means that more chances to find bugs. But the problem that I see is that if you give a very big code base, you need people to spend a lot of time on it to get really deep into the bugs, to find the subtle critical bugs, which mainly when you see like someone getting paid, I don't know, 5 million bucks, except the wormhole, the wormhole's crazy story when 10 million bucks were just, paid for uninitialized proxy contract. That's the only exception that we have. The rest are quite subtle bugs. They're not easy to find. You need to spend time, really understand how everything's working, and in some,
Topological bug.
yeah, yeah, some logical bug or some discrepancy between two components, which you can only spot if you really know the code very well. Most likely, much better than the developer that has written the code. Yeah. So 1 week to do a decent audit, I think that's 100% not enough. If it's small code base, yeah, you will get a very good result on contest. If it's a big contest, if it's a big code base, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't have that much. No, I'm not that fearless to go with a contest in that cases. But if you have money for both, that's the best you can do. Just go for both.
So maybe they can approach you next time or after this contest, and maybe I mean I know that Hexens is like has a lot of experience with. You have a lot of experience with ZK audits and circuits, so it would be interesting. And if not, maybe you could participate as a team, which will be interesting. Hexens team at the ZK Sync
Yeah,
era.
sure. I mean, would be lovely if they decide they want to try with us. We'll definitely would want to work with them. In terms of participating in the contest, of course, it sounds very interesting. Given the prize pool for our security engineers, will most likely will be very, interested to try to get the part of the prize pool. But there's a I think the only problem that we're facing is our ZK team is very stuffed. So we're doing like an audit, full time audit, and I'm not sure whether our team will find, let's say, spare time enough to participate in this contest. But I I'm happy that we're stuffed in that sense, but also in some sense it would be really very interesting to if we had the spare time to actually just dive deep into the code base and see what we can find. Yeah,
It's very
100%.
interesting.
But maybe we
Did
will try
you
something.
did you sometime in the
Let's
past
see.
engage in audit contests or bug bounties as a company or like security engineers, like part of the company umbrella, or no, because you're packed with
Uh,
clients?
no, like I personally, I think I've did some Code4Rena contests long ago when it was just launched, the Code4Rena. I got even paid for something, but I was doing that mainly to just see like how it feels to do this contest thing.
Yeah, the platform.
So, but yeah, like not even the platform. I mean, as a security engineer, like, what's your experience where you're not doing the audit, but like engaging in a contest where you have, let's say, some, I wouldn't say enemies, but people that you compete with for some bugs and whatever, like how you focus during that, how much fun you can maybe get during the contest, not only because I believe like security engineers getting more fun through like during the process rather than just for the rewards. The reward is just something that just
It's a bonus.
let's say it's a bonus. Yeah, you 100% you're not getting like fun because you get paid a lot. No, it's just the process. Yeah, for that, I think maybe our junior team, they are trying to participate in some contests during their spare time. Yeah, but yeah, I'm not sure about do they have a team name or whatever. I'm not sure about that. Maybe they do, and maybe even it's something like Hexens something. But yeah,
Okay, interesting. So you guys are specialized in zero knowledge technology, and you're doing also circuits audits. And we
yeah.
also know that zero knowledge projects like zkSync, there most of the code is actually Solidity code, but there is some part that is like also not Solidity code, the circuits
Mhm.
or the way they implement the zero knowledge proofs. So can you tell us a bit about the difference between like a traditional EVM audit and zero knowledge audit? Like how is it different?
Yeah, sure. So, just one quick question. When you're talking about like about the code base that is mainly Solidity, are we talking about this exact contest or like
Yeah,
ZK
this
Sync in general?
no
Ah,
ZK
okay.
Sync exact context. I heard from some tweet that it's like
Oh, okay.
66% of the code is just Solidity, and there is
Oh, okay,
like
okay.
one third
Okay, I
that
got
is
it.
like ZK. So
Yeah,
most of it is actually
because
Solidity.
the only reason I asked is because I was expecting Solidity to be minimal, and for some, let's say, Rust code or if they don't use any other language for the circuits. As far as I know, it should be Rust for ZK Sync. Yeah, I think the circuits is definitely a bit different in approach of how you audit circuits. Is the main thing is that it's not when you read the code, it's not always working the way it's written because some of the parts are not actually being, let's say, executed in the sense that we used to think as a code execution. When you see like an instruction of the code written in the code, like one line of instruction, you see that someone is really doing this. Like in terms of circuits, they might, if it's not a constraint, it might not be an execution. Like it might be executed in a different way. So in that terms, it's not execution based programs. And this fact you need that's the hardest part. It's not too hard, but I believe it's the hardest part about the circuit audits is that you need to understand that not everything that you see will actually work as you expect and as you see it. So there, you really need to pay attention to the circuits. So that's the top priority. If you have, sorry, to the circuits, to the constraints. If you see that a constraint is written, then it's good. We can because let's say we imagine that the rest of the constraint system is a black box and it's working, right? It doesn't have bugs. Let's say we just only looking at what constraints we can see, what's in the circuit. If you really see the circuit, the constraint, sorry, then yes, all good. But you might see some part of the code that are just intermediate, that are generating intermediate execution, but not actually generating a constraint. And there you can be fooled with thinking that this is the only way that you can calculate it, while it is not actually the only way that you can calculate. You can use a malicious prover to generate an incorrect proof that will fool the verifier, let's say.
So it's a bit. It sounds like a bit different approach and a bit challenging when you shift from Web 2
Yeah,
programs that run. They are run in a different way rather than EVM programs. Solidity are running
yeah.
because you can run and trigger function only when you send a transaction to a function, run or when
Hmm.
a smart contract calls another smart contract or calls another function. So you say that in ZK and circuits you have another like complexity on top of that. That it's somehow like moving from traditional programs to Web3 programs. So now you need to change your mindset
Yeah,
from EVM
kinda.
to
Yeah,
circuits, which is interesting.
kinda. Yeah,
And
yeah.
does it mean that your audit process or the tools that you use are slightly different? What's the audit process of like
Yeah.
how do you audit ZK?
Sure, sure, sure. It is a bit different in the sense that we definitely use different toolings, especially like with the circuits. Um, So there are a lot of things you can do with circuits, which may be even easier than doing it with contracts. Let's say formal verification. It's easier to do for circuits than for, let's say arbitrary computation like smart contracts or whatever. Um, for example, I can give you example from
You're
Polygon
using
ZK
Certora,
audit.
or Certora do not support Rust and circuits?
As far as I know, they don't support.
So
Yeah,
what kind
no,
of tools do you
we're
use for formal verification?
it's mainly manual. It's mainly manual. We don't use, let's say, the companies that are known in Web3 doing formal verification, having products for formal verification, mainly don't use them because we don't do formal verification for smart contracts. That's the only thing. If we were to do formal verification for smart contracts, we most likely will be using Certora. I think they're great at formal verification. Yeah, but that's we just don't provide that service, and
Did
that's
you
it
build
for
some in-house
formal.
tools for formal verification that you use in
Now
Hexens?
you can use like no, for formal verification, like for just the engine of let's say some symbolic execution engine or whatever, some solvers. You can just use libraries like Python libraries like Z3 or others. So when you have like a custom situation, you end up just using that kind of stuff. Where you don't have a product like Certora that I don't know, let's say works on some circuit language or whatever. I think there are some formal verification tools that work with Circom. Yeah, I think there are. Yeah, but we don't use them because we don't always do the formal verification. To be honest, we do static analysis, for example, as well. For Polygon's audit, we developed like custom static analysis uh, tool that worked for their own DSL called PIL. So we've written on the GS like a static analysis tool, and we were trying to find bugs using it. It was successful in the sense, yeah, in that sense. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do, and but like in our case, I would say we emphasize the manual review. I think that's I don't know, like in our vision, you still need to emphasize the manual review. You can use some toolings or methodologies like whatever outside of manual review, static analysis, dynamic analysis for some situations are actually sometimes it's the only way you can do the security review, to be honest. So yeah, like there's a lot of great stuff that you can do. Formal verification as well. Like you need to understand like for each exact situation which tool set you want to use, and that comes from with experience and with intuition to understand like what type of code is better for which tool set.
That's very cool. I
Yeah,
actually went to the Hexens repo and I saw that you open sourced this tool, Pillar, right?
yeah.
The
It's not like a big very big tool because the PIL language is also not that complex, so it was but there's still a to-do list that we need to do. So anyone eager to contribute will be, yeah, well, really looking forward to that. Please fork the repo and contribute it, as we're too lazy to continue contributing to that repo.
cool, very cool. So you mentioned also before that actually you cannot scale by providing services. So are you guys working on any product? So what do you
Yeah,
where is Hexens or heading? What's the Hexens future like? How do you see the company in 1, 2, 3 years? Are you working on a product or something that you want to
yeah.
share? Something exciting, maybe?
Yeah, we're working on products for security, for providing security infrastructure in Web3. That's our main goal. We'll be launching our first, let's say, product in around maybe a month or so. Yeah, it's still like it will be closed beta, so we're not doing it like, super public right now. We want to collect some feedback to see how it goes. That's why I won't be sharing too much information right now over it. But yeah, and we have a very crazy tool that we're writing for security engineers, which we will be releasing as well. Let's see how it goes. It's just a lot of stuff from it is I wouldn't say it's like super confidential, but it's we still have maybe we still might do some changes. So that's why I'm not really sharing too much information over that. But
That's
yeah,
very, very interesting.
strongly believe that you should scale through products rather than services. That's 100%. And in sense that you're saying like, where do we see Hexens in a couple of years? I would say it's we will never stop doing audits. That's just because we just love doing audits. Um, we'll be still doing it for like tier one companies, uh, but like we will have this, let's say, products, the security infrastructure creating to our products, hopefully generating a lot of value for all the Web3. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, guys, if you want to, it's going to be a very exciting announcement, I assume. So, if you want to, you want to make sure that you follow Hexens on Twitter and also Vahe on Twitter. So, I'll put all the links in the description below. And I'm looking forward for the announcement. And I'm eagerly
Yeah,
testing
thank
new
you.
products in the industry because it's very interesting. And I think the tooling is we need more good
Yeah,
tools in the industry.
yeah,
So I did try Audit Wizard. I'm playing now a lot with Open Zeppelin and Tenderly, a lot of very interesting tools. So to wrap up, we talked also about all the exploits and the fact that millions of dollars are being stolen. So
mm.
how can we get better as an industry, and where do you see like the Web3 security industry in like few years, the whole industry? Like, are we going to get better at tooling? Are we going to decrease this number? Like, what
No,
do you
I think.
think? I know you're not a prophet, but how do you see the future?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope that it will be much better because, like one of the issues that we will be addressing through our products is actually just that we are right now facing a lot of troubles with actually like WhiteHat disclosure of bugs, in sense that there are disturbingly big amount of projects who don't behave ethically, like they being reported critical or high severity or whatever bugs, and they just try to, try to do everything not to give the rightful payout for the person. This is not an easy not an easy topic, to be honest, because there are a lot of different edge cases, a lot of different situations. Sometimes white hat hackers are not being really that ethical as well, in a sense that I'm not saying about like, black hatting money. That's of course, like, there's nothing to talk about in that case. I'm talking about when eventually the white hat wants to report the issue. So I've seen that at some point, some people were talking about, let's say, this 10% stuff, like that you can whitehead the money and keep the 10% and give out the 90%. I don't believe that this is ethical at all. I
This
don't
is this
believe that.
is I think this
Yeah,
should be last resort last
yeah,
resort, and it's very dangerous. It's kind
yeah,
of extortion in my opinion, and also it's
yeah,
problematic because you can get front run. We know how
yeah, yeah,
sophisticated our MEV and the
yeah,
response. You
yeah.
don't have, like, you're not God. You don't have the rights to
Hmm.
rob a bank and then say later on, okay, I will give you the money back. Because on the
Yeah,
way, when you take the truck with the cash, there might be people that are stealing this cash. In our case, it's MEV
yeah,
bots. So yeah, we need to
exactly.
figure out like a better ways of like
Yeah,
connecting white hats and protocols and making sure that neither parts are getting screwed
yeah.
in the process.
Exactly. There's a lot of, especially like in Web3, where you have protocols, interconnected to each other. Imagine someone drains some pool or some contract in one project to get his 10% and to give back the 90%. And a lot of people, let's say, liquidating because of that, of what he did. Like, that's crazy. Like, you don't even, sometimes you can't even imagine the impact
The
that
domino
you
effect,
will
because
bring.
DeFi is like
Yeah, the domino
Lego.
effect.
So
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
just break one part of the Lego, you might collapse. Like that's a
yeah,
bit of I would say a risk for DeFi, because the
yeah.
protocols are relying on each other so much that
Yeah,
it's a bit scary, to be honest. The
exactly.
domino effect, and we saw it happening many times in different protocols. In like when the Terra Luna collapsed, how it affected other lending protocols that fetch the UST or the Luna token price in a very bad way, and it made like literally tens and 20 millions of dollars lending protocols to go bankrupt because of there was an issue with the Oracle, and the protocol got drained. So yeah, it's a
Hmm.
bit scary.
Yeah, that's exactly. Like I agree totally with you. That's one of the reasons as well why I think it's just a no. But like even if it didn't have any domino effect, I think doing the 1090 is just, you're, as you said, you're not God, you're not the one to choose like whether 10% is enough for project to give out or whatever. Um, Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a normal regulation on this side. That's why a lot of projects are misbehaving. Some whiteheads also most likely misbehaving. I've heard stories where people actually, let's say someone is doing responsible disclosure and he's demanding money. Is basically it's not a responsible disclosure. It's maybe responsible blackmailing, but it's definitely not a disclosure because
Yeah.
you cannot just come up and say, I have a critical bug, but I'm not giving it to you until you pay me. If it's done in some trustless way, let's say that,
On the other side, you can
uh,
also look at a white
yeah,
hat perspective. He's putting a lot of
yeah,
hours of work. He learned so
yeah,
much. He got so skilled, and he found some bug that no one else were able to spot.
yeah,
He
yeah,
deserves like
yes,
some kind of
yeah,
reward, some kind of
yes,
monetary reward, and also we want to incentivize those white hat hackers to keep doing that. So this debate is very
yes.
interesting. How do we make sure both sides are happy?
Yeah, that's the thing. I 100% agree. The thing is that after the white hat discloses the bug, he's the only one he's the only one who can become a victim of the situation, to be honest.
Exactly.
When he disclosed the one, there's nothing he can do, right? So he cannot delete it, like, even if he can, like, most likely they just know about the bug already, just go. You cannot do anything about it. So, and unfortunately, a lot of projects are misbehaving in that sense, not actually behaving like too ethically, which is a much bigger problem than just than just the case that they had. Like if you're a project and someone gave you like disclosed you a critical bug and you just try to scam the white hat not to pay it, it's not that you only scam this person, is that you're also trying to create a situation where people will start will demotivate on doing everything
You're
ethically
hurting
and
the
doing
entire
everything
industry,
correctly.
basically. You're hurting
Yeah,
the entire
hurting the
industry.
entire so this is something that needs to be addressed 100%. And this is like one of the top priorities we're trying to actually solve as in our products, and not only in our products, like just as people who are also in the same industry, because it will have very bad consequences if we don't stop it until it's too big.
That's very interesting. I'm looking forward for the announcement because it should be an exciting announcement, and I'm
Yeah,
interested like
thank you.
what kind of product you're building to address this issue. And to summarize, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time and coming here, sharing your knowledge, experience, and tips with the audience and with the community. I had a great pleasure talking with you. Hope you had the same and the listeners also enjoy. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your trip and the conference, and we'll be in touch.